They say good things come to those who wait. Well, guess I'm gonna be at least an hour late. You've been so good to me, allow me to demonstrate. Hey, real loving, you don't have to wait. Now come closer, yeah. You pick me up, keep me up, keep me up when I'm feeling under, when I'm feeling undone. Oh secret, oh secret, oh secret. You're the one I've been keeping. You are the one, you are the one, yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Doek in Town, a beautiful Sunday. We continue with the night conversations. I think we should change this segment from grey old conversations to night conversations. I think this is our 2 week or 2 weeks in a row shooting at night because life happens. But we're thankful for the ring light because we can still shoot even if it's at night. My name is Kadi, aka Tai. This is my wife, Bonang, aka Doek, and together we are Doek and Tai. And welcome to our platform. We're so grateful to have you, and we're so grateful to be having these conversations with you or besides you, right? Where do we start today? A lot has happened since we were here last week. What have you been up to during the week?
School.
Give me more. There has to be more than that.
That's it. Just been up to school. Have tons of assignments, presentations.
What are you doing again?
What am I
If somebody's the first time somebody being here, where are you schooling? What are you schooling?
Okay, I'll first start by, I remember a comment about someone wanting to meet me at school. That would be a bit difficult unless you live on campus.
Which school is this?
I'm getting to it.
Okay. Alright.
So it would be a bit difficult unless you live on campus because my classes are mostly at night, or rather in the evening.
Tutorial model vibes.
So you probably have to go home super late if you're an on-campus student, if you're an off-campus student. But I would love to meet you. I'm normally at the computer science block in the graduate lab. So that's...
But don't you feel like you're giving away a lot of information here? Somebody could just wait to tackle you.
Tackle me.
Well, you didn't say which school. I've been asking that.
Yes, so I go to the University of Botswana.
What are you doing there?
A master's degree.
In what? I mean, I feel like this is just a segment for me to
just know
interview.
that it's in information systems, that's it.
Okay, cool. So if you're in UB and you want to meet Bonang, that's where she will be.
But not all the time.
Okay.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are really like pre-arrangements?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What happened on my side since we were last year? Oh, I celebrated my 28th birthday. I had a blast. My one thing that I wanted to do for my 28th was to have my family around. My mom especially and my little brother. Because of COVID, I hadn't been able to see them as much as I wanted to. So they were able to come into town and we had a nice lunch with both my mothers. They were there and my siblings. And we had a blast. I'll insert pictures here just so you get to see. And see what we got up to on that fateful day, April the 25th. And a big shout out to everybody who wished me a happy birthday in the comment section. I saw that. I appreciated the love. And just to clarify, it wasn't Bonang's birthday. We don't share. Just because we're married, I get to keep something, to myself, which is my birthday. So thank you so much for showing love. And I had a splendid day. And I'm on my journey to my 29th. So
Next one of us.
I'm excited about that. Road to 30 maybe, yeah. So today on Doek and Tai, it's another cold night. I feel like winter started a little early, but home May, so you expect it to be a bit cold.
Oh yeah. Happy Workers' Day.
Happy May Day, yeah? Yeah. And yes to the Monday holiday for everybody who was supposed to be at work. So on today's episode, we wanted to talk about black tax. I think we haven't talked about anything serious in a while, so we decided let's take it back to the beginning, take it back to how we used to do things around here and just sit down and tackle black tax, well, from our standpoint and from our experience, right? You might have a different or a varying definition or varying experience with black tax and how you understand it, and would really like you to engage us in the comment section and let us know what your experience has been with black tax. So we'll start it off with Bonang. What is your experience with black tax? Or even before we get there, how do you understand or what do you understand black tax to mean?
Okay. I understand black tax to mean having to support your, I don't want to say parents, but the people who raised you financially. Like, not it being something that you do because you want to, but it being something that you have to do out of necessity. That is what I understand black tax to be.
Okay. Should we go with my definition and then your experience, or do you want to go with the experience?
Your definition.
Okay, my definition of black tax is an inward. Is that a feel? An inward feeling or obligation to take care of the people that raised you or that sacrificed a lot for you to be where you are today. Yeah. So for me, it's not necessarily somebody saying, "Hey, I did 1, 2, 3 for you, so you have to pay back all the money that I spent on you, all the time that you spent, or all the time or money that I spent on you." But for me, it's rather just you inwardly feeling, me, mamang, they sacrificed so much, mamang spent so much on me growing up. So the least I could do is give back now that I'm in a position to do so, right? That's how I understand black tax.
Okay.
So what's been your experience with it? Have you had instances where, maybe you're raised by your parents, right? Your mom and your dad, and your older sibling. Have you had instances where maybe they came back to you, "Hey, it's time to pay back the money, or it's time for you to now be on the receiving end. Take care of us as much as we took care of you"?
No, I have never. I've never been on the receiving end of having to be told that I was raised, hence I should pay back the money. Did you ever?
Go on.
On my end, that's why I feel like you just threw away my definition of black tax.
Okay.
Yes, my definition of black tax is something that you have to do out of necessity, not something that you do because you want to. Like, it's the reason we pay tax not because we want to. That's what tax is.
Could evade it. But yeah, I understand.
But you don't pay tax because you're like, "Oh, hi, here you go, I made this much, this is your card, you are welcome." No.
Fair point.
Tax is something that we pay. Do we really want to pay tax? No, but we pay tax. So what black tax is that I think it was coined from there being instances where after you grow up, you realize that there are certain things that are still, there are certain necessities that are still there despite you having grown up and having left. So hence the need, or not really the need, hence there being black tax. So for some people, black tax would be for some it would be having to support the family financially every month, even after they've left. So you then support your family and then you support your parents. or your siblings or whoever. So for me, my experience with black tax has been quite, how do I put this? I don't want to say non-existent, because let's just say that there are certain things that I would like to do for my parents, but the things that I would like to do for them are things that I'd want to do. I wouldn't be doing them out of necessity or because I have to. It would be things that I'd be doing because I want to. So
I forgot something.
So in the black tax sense, I wouldn't really say I have to pay black tax. Yes.
Okay, fair point. Okay, the way I look at it, right, I'll be speaking from my experience and just things that I see from friends and maybe family around, right? The way I see it is with black tax, mostly the implications of it are mostly felt by maybe the firstborn or people or kids that are from a family and they tend to be closer to their parents. Like as a parent, you can have maybe firstborn, secondborn, thirdborn, right? And then there'll always be a child there who's more closer to their parents than the rest. So I always feel or always observe that but duela black tax maybe they are the first to step out of the family and become a little successful or to make a little money on their own, right? Those are the people now they have to go back home and lay foundation. You mentioned earlier, it could be building houses, it could be putting the rest of their siblings through school, it could be taking care of their parents financially and in other ways as well. So that's how I see it. Now, my next question to you would be...
No. Yeah? Your experience with black tax, you're skipping.
My experience with black tax. I was raised by a single mother, and I was also raised by my aunties there, my aunts mostly. So for me, I don't think it's been, I wouldn't call it black tax. Nobody has come to me and said, you need to do 1, 2, 3, but I've always felt, you know what, I am where I am because certain people sacrificed so much for me to be where I am today. So it's just been an inward thing to say, well, it's already to a certain point in my life. I would like to learn maybe sacrifice a little from myself or a little that I could have possibly used on me. So that was actually going to be my next question. Where do we draw the line of, is it black tax or is it just you giving back to people or giving back to the community that raised you? You know, God, what it takes a village to raise a child, which is absolutely true. Is there where we can now draw the line to saying, yeah, black tax, is just you wanting to help out or to give back to that community of people?
I think hence comes in the necessity versus the want thing.
Okay.
If it is out of necessity and it's something that you have to do, then it's tax.
Okay.
Because it's not something that you choose to do. It's something, say, then there's trouble. Well, I wouldn't really call it trouble, but there's how do I say this? I don't know how to say it. But if you do not pay black tax, then the repercussions are felt by someone. So hence the necessity, that's what makes it black tax. But if it's something that you do because you want to, then it's not really tax now, is it?
Okay.
Yes. So that to me is the difference between black tax and just a random contribution to whoever you feel paved the way for you to be where you are today.
Okay, so I've had an interaction with a couple of people on regarding black tax, and I'll just give a random example about one of them. Now, what happened to him is he obviously raised by parents who were not so well off, so they were struggling, sacrificing a lot for school, take him to the best. So let me not even say to the best schools, just to your normal school. But it takes a lot for one higher school, even if it's just like a government school. There's school fees, which is not a lot, but if it's a family that just trying to put one and one together, sometimes seems like a lot. There's your do they have proper uniform? Are they well taken care of? To focus on the school. So raised him, and then he went to university. Thankfully, he got a government scholarship to go to university. And then after that, he started working. So the first thing that he did when he got like a permanent, stable job, took out a loan and built a house for the parents. So say, you know what, this is me saying thank you. And I see Harlem Bailey thing, so I'm forever grateful. But along the way now, the story changed. And then Bazadi Bohosamalokar are not really appreciative of what the person had done or what the child had done. And then now he's in debt. He's in debt. That means he has to forego certain things that he would have liked to do himself. And the like that his peers are doing. Now he got really frustrated. When I got this loan and built this house, I thought my parents would really be appreciative because I really pushed myself. And I really pushed myself to the limit in getting that loan. So it just became a thing where he was really depressed and he was down. I did that big gesture, and my parents were not appreciative of it. So it was one of those where he was realizing that he's aging, and the amount of debt that he was in, it was going to take, I think, Asaga Boma 35 what the current job that he had. So I think those are instances where black text becomes very dangerous to someone's well-being, where you do something maybe out of the love of people that policies are trying to give something back, and then it's not appreciated. And then when on the other side, you're also feeling the consequences. So that was just one instance that I wanted to quickly mention. And it didn't go quite as planned. And I know other people who are in such situations. I think is where, I think our parents will always be parents. Parents demand, right? Naturally, they demand.
Not all.
Okay, not all of them, but generally, right?
Don't say general. You can't generalize. You don't know.
I'm generalizing from the cases that I know.
Don't generalize.
Well, I'll give you a chance to speak about your experiences and the cases that you know. But in this instance, I'm speaking from what I know and what I normally talk to about people, right? This is like a big topic. I think it affects a lot of people. So it becomes an issue maybe month end. There's another person gives batsadi madi khwedi hedile me hala ha cha di 15 and nakanya eh so it's already hello ke se mo sona malapi, right? We don't have electricity, we don't have food, so bona go ka ira. And now it becomes an instance of that person ends up going out of their way and puts themselves in debt in order to finance or to help out at the household. So there are other cases like that where I think black text just takes a turn for the worst. Generally, I don't think black text is a bad thing, like you were saying earlier, if it's out of love and out of you feeling what you just want to help out and give back to the people that raised you, right? But if it becomes an issue of you have to do this thing or else, it becomes a problem. I think that's where
it becomes a problem. If every month I cannot forego black tax, if for a month I cannot forego black tax because then that puts me in a position because of black tax. Say your and you need to cut back on a few things. And unfortunately, one of the things that you have to cut back on is black tax. So then, you can't help out as much as you've been helping out, because honestly, how easy would it be to explain to your parents that you are in debt, and because you are in debt, you need to stop doing things that you've been doing. So I feel that I honestly feel like black tax is unfair. It's unfair in the sense that people might hate me for saying this, but you did not ask to be born. Nobody asked to be born. We were born, yes, but I didn't explicitly have a say in whether I was born or not. So now I'm born, yes, but then you come to me and bring receipts of I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for you. It's time for you to pay back. What in essence you're saying is that I entered into an agreement, because we did not enter into the agreement together before I was born. Okay, now look, I'm about to bring you into this earth. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for you. After I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for you, when you are now working, you will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for me. We did not enter into such an agreement beforehand. So it becomes a bit unfair. And that's why you have some instances where there are people who don't know what black tax is completely at all, because different lives, I suppose. But it becomes a bit unfair when now we have certain expectations of our children, because we feel like they wouldn't be where they are without us. Yes, Bazadi, we wouldn't be where we wouldn't be a lot of places without them. But having that expectation or having that sort of entitlement to homo is a bit dangerous, because then, like you're saying, you'd have instances where a person cannot progress because why it's there's black tax. How do I enter into a relationship? Let's say I want to enter into a relationship and I pay black tax and you don't. How am I going to explain it to you when I start what black tax is, and I have to explain to you what every month such and such a sum leaves my account and goes to a certain place, and that's the way it has always been, and that's the way it will continue to be. How do you explain that to your significant other? This is like a common occurrence, and this is something that's going to carry on for the foreseeable future, which is why I find it a bit unfair. Well, not a bit, I find it quite unfair.
Okay. So let us know in the comment section what your experience has been with black tax, and if you know anybody who's went through, certain ordeals or certain stories that you are willing to share. Now, my next question to you, baby, is how do you deal with it? I mean, we could sit here and sort of orchestrate a perfect world where there's no black tax and where there's no demands coming in from either this side or that side, right? But then how do we manage it? Because we know already the world that we live in, such things are reality. So we have to also dive back or put a dipstick into reality and say, we acknowledge that it's there, but this is how we now deal with it.
I feel like it's quite a difficult thing to deal with, but obviously consultation with your partner is number one. And then number two is consultation with your parents. You sit them down, you explain the situation to them. The situation is not what we would like it to be. The situation is not ideal. There are instances where I will have and I will be able to share whatever it is I have with everyone. But there are instances where I will have less. And in such instances, there might be times that go by. So I think it is important to explain such so that what happened? We've had this conversation before. We know how something will happen, but how nothing will happen. So I feel like such is important, but I also feel like it has adverse effects on people who want to enter into relationships.
Okay, expound on that a bit more.
You find that sometimes people feel that they are carrying a very heavy burden. Some people feel like because they have so much that they need to do, they cannot be in relationships, they cannot get married until they have completed whatever it is that they need to do, which then leads to a person reaching their 30s or their 40s, avoiding relationships because they find it difficult to explain to someone else, I pay black tax. And it is not something that I am in a position to stop doing. It is not something that I'm in a position to pause. So it becomes difficult in the sense that some people are then unable to enter into relationships because they fear that they would not be able to fully immerse themselves in the relationships and have relationships that they normally see people having, like relationships where there's gifting, where there's vacations, where there's stuff that people in relationships do.
I think the best advice that I've ever gotten with regards to black tax, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and what they said was, sometimes it's really good, you might have those conversations, but sometimes they don't necessarily land the way you'd want them. Maybe you go into a conversation with a certain outcome in mind, but it doesn't always go in as planned or in that manner. So the best advice, or the best advice that I've ever had somebody saying was, it has to start with you being comfortable with the fact that you have to understand and be comfortable with the fact that if you don't have, you don't have. But if you don't have, you don't have. Because sometimes somebody would ask something from you, and then you don't have it, and then you go back, you're like, but I don't have, what exactly do I mean? And then you end up feeling guilty to a point where you now, end up in debt. So the minute you start understanding, this is my boundary, I have this, I don't have that, then that's a good starting point, right? And then the other one that I also discussed.
Can I add on to the if you don't have thing?
Yeah.
I like it because then that says if you don't have, you cannot share what you do not have. But in instances where you don't have and you don't have, but you end up giving, that then creates what's the word? English is gone today. It then creates
excuse me?
I don't want to say expectancy, but it's a situation where
you said precedence.
There's precedence that despite the fact that Bokamso says he does not have, he does give. So Lewena, when your I don't have in the future is not as
clear,
it's not as clear, and it's not as strong and as firm as it should be, because when you say you don't have, in the end you actually end up giving.
Okay. And then the other one that I wanted to mention was I know in life now we're gonna work hard, we're gonna make this amount of money, we're gonna be successful. It doesn't turn out like that for all of us, right? Life is unpredictable, but I would like us to be the generation where black tax ends here, like it ends with us. Anybody starting with our generation we shouldn't fall in the same traps that the previous generations fell in. I want us to be a generation where when our kids grow up, they find that they have trust funds, they have investments, they have land, and they have all sorts of things. Like I said, we don't live in an ideal world, we don't live in a perfect world. Sometimes another one we might plan for things to be that way, and then life happens, But we should be ambitious enough and set goals where they allow us to dream to that extent. You know what? everybody that comes after us will have something, or hello, at least that's inherit at the least. You know, they should start from scratch. Any debt that they are inheriting from us. So I think that could possibly be the only way out. Let our generation be the last generation who would be demanding black tax or expecting black tax from our kids. Rather, let's build some things for them and trust fund. School fees. Are they also trust funds?
School fees.
Yeah, you know where you open like a fund and then you keep depositing school fees for your kid.
Unit trusts.
Trust fund, trust and all sorts of investments. So I think that's also another one in the long term and could possibly, or it'll definitely work for the generations. So that's it. That's all I had to say on this topic. It's one of those that's heavy. We can't really avoid it because this is our reality. These are things that we live with on a daily basis. So if you have such stories or if you wanna share anything really regarding black taxes, maybe experiences that you've had in the past, or how you generally just view the topic, or anything that you might want to add to the conversation, feel free to add to the comment section. I don't know if you have anything else to say regarding that. All right. We're almost at our 50th episode of doing this. I think this is episode 45 or 46 if I'm not mistaken. I'm really excited for the big 50. After 50, that'll be end of season 2, I think. And then we're going to be starting a whole new season. I don't want to make promises because life happens, especially with this lady going to school and me being busy with other things. So sometimes we make promises and then we don't keep them. But I'm really excited to hit the big 50 and see what changes we're going to be making after that. Maybe season 3 will have more guests. Maybe we're going to shoot from outside. Maybe we're going to go on more adventures. Those are things I would like us to do with the platform, right? So I'm excited for episode 50. This has been Doek and Ty, and is still Doek and Ty. Feel free to subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, and go ahead and like that Facebook page. It's called Doek and Ty. We're also on Instagram. It's called Doek and Ty. That's the name of our page. But I will be posting more on Instagram because I've been inactive on socials.
Why are you lying?
I've been inactive. The only time that we get to share our thoughts is here, and we put it up on those platforms. But in terms of like daily updates and Snapchatting and TikToking, guys, life has been happening. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Doek and Ty.
They say good things come to those who wait.